a Conspiracy is part of the Alberta Podcast Network and powered by ATB. Do you like good podcasts?
Yes.
Check out Not There Yet, a series of short essays by Terrence C. Gannon covering the wide range of subjects from the perspectives of the second decade of the 21st century.
Get there. Northern Chicken, craft beer, bourbon, and hot chicken. Come down and try one of Alberta's best beer lists, all the while eating Edmonton's hottest chicken.
Yum.
Try one of our scratch-made hot sauces and fantastic sides.
Oh, hot damn.
Oh, Andrew, do you like spicy? Do you like your chicken spicy?
I sure do, Charlie. Do you like your chicken spicy?
Hell yeah. I bet you I like mine spicier than you like yours.
You may like your chicken spicier than mine. I'm actually.
Damn it, you're supposed to say, no way!
I mean, no way. This is a throwdown.
That's right.
And I will sacrifice body and soul for this to win.
Okay.
Because I've been coming up short of the contest.
That's
so
right.
this time, it's my chance
to come out strong.
to shine.
Just don't rub your eyes afterwards.
Okay. Anything else?
Or anything else.
Okay.
Wash your hands. Enjoy your delicious chicken. I love that fried chicken.
It's so good.
It's so good. I can't wait.
Yeah, so November 24th is our live event, and then that episode will come out on Cluckvember. It'll come out on Cluckvember 28th. Episode 6, The Undiscovered Country. Welcome back, everyone, to It's Conspiracy. This is the podcast where we lay out the beliefs behind selected conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. I'm your host, Andrew, and I do not claim to be an expert on anything we are going to discuss today, and will probably be wrong about everything as usual, because it is hard to sift through both facts and opinions while figuring out for yourself what is real. So what is real? Do you guys know what's real?
Yep.
Do you guys know what's real?
Yep.
What's real?
Yep. I know what's real.
What's real?
Yep.
My breasts.
Your breasts are real. Okay. Yep. If you'd like to see where we dug up whatever plop socket rubbish we're going to discuss today, then please check out the resources in the episode description.
Did you say plop socket?
Plop socket, yeah.
What's that?
Charlie works his wee fingers to the bone putting that together. You might have seen him in person. He has bloody nubs for fingers.
Yeah, just mashing away.
Just little nubs.
At the old electro typewriter.
We are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB, and yay for friends doing nice things together.
Hey.
So joining me today are my good friends, Charming Charlie and Caring Kaylee.
Oh,
I know.
That's good.
It's so nice. These two unicorn enthusiasts will be presented with selected theories and interject as they
Super
see
horny.
fit. Yeah. Do you like unicorns?
I love unicorns.
I know
several.
Okay. If you would like to keep up to date with what we're up to here at It's a Conspiracy, then please check out our website. It's a Conspiracy Podcast, where you can find links to the Twitter that's run by the Irish Madman, our Facebook group, which has been really nice. No one's been like doing weird stuff on there. The Instagram that's run by Greg, and our Patreon page, patreon.com/It's a Conspiracy. Okay. Now, Charlie, with a yes or no, can you tell me if you've heard of either of these theories? One of these is going to be, you're not going to be sure. Okay. So number one, Walt Disney is in cryogenic storage.
Yes.
Okay. Number two, something about a skier.
No.
Okay, so because the title of this gives away the surprise.
Something about a skier.
Yeah. So, yeah. And you go by Chuck sometimes?
Sometimes.
Does anyone call you Chuckles?
Sometimes.
Okay. So
Just don't call me late for dinner.
So subject number one, Walt Disney is in cryogenic storage.
Was that enough time?
I think so. I'm not sure. Maybe longer. Have either of you two been to Disney World or Disneyland or any of the Disney places?
No.
You've never been?
Into a
Sadly.
Disney store.
Into a Disney store?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the closest.
You guys are familiar with the Pirates of the Caribbean ride?
Yes.
Splash Mountain? No. Wait.
No.
Oh,
It's
no.
It's a boat.
No, that's
No, there's
that's
a
the
boat.
thing that started the movies. Is they
The movies came from that,
Sure.
but it's like a castle. There's a bunch of pirates.
Yar.
And yeah. Okay, so just keep that in your head here. Walt Disney, architect of the Disney conglomerate, artist, animator, one of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time, super heavy drinker, massive smoker, checked into St. Joseph Hospital in Burbank, California, on November 30th after feeling very unwell. Disney had been diagnosed with lung cancer but a month earlier and had been being treated with Cobalt therapy. Fun fact, Cobalt therapy is Canadian. It was developed at the University of Saskatchewan.
Google, please explain cobalt therapy.
It's where you're like in the big photon tube and they shoot rays at you. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Pull up a picture, man. Cobalt therapy.
It's a real thing?
It's a real thing. You look like you're like...
Did you see it on The Big Bang Theory?
It might have been on The Big Bang Theory.
Yuck, that's not... Why would I miss that for sure?
Because that's how I learned about the Collider.
The who?
I don't know what it's called.
The Hadron Collider.
Yeah.
Which just proved ghosts exist the other day.
Yeah.
Did it?
Well,
different episode.
Wait.
Yeah, that's a ghost particle.
Boo!
Look at this. This is real. And that looks like something right out of a movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's alive!
So I think that's even at the U of S. University of Saskatchewan. Yep. So
it looks like I'm going to kill you, Bond, but not before I tell you my secret plans.
Yeah. And it does look like an upside down R2D2.
Cobalt lasers.
Yeah.
I'm just going to zap you with this droid's wang.
Ugh. Bzzz. On December 15th, 1966, Disney died of circulatory failure due to lung cancer. He actually had a lung taken out, went back to work on Dumbo, like drawing cells. And they're like, didn't you just get a lung taken out? He's like, just glued to his, yeah, terrible.
Good impression.
Hard to imagine going back to work and you're like, just missing a lung. So he was interred at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. Mm-hmm. And that's the official story anyway. Okay, now there are many who believe that the reclusive, manipulating genius had actually hatched a different plan, one that may see him among the living any day now. There is a theory that Walt Disney actually had his body, or perhaps just his head, or maybe just his balls, cryogenically frozen
Disney
just before
balls.
he died. Thinking that future medical technology will be able to cure his sickness, cancer in this case, and then reanimate him.
Cell by cell.
I know. Man, oh, so good. So this theory further states that the Disney's body, or perhaps just his head, is kept in storage underneath the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, which opened just a few months after Disney shook off his mortal coil. Supporters of this theory point to a few aspects of this as evidence. He was super rich. He loved future technology stuff. He was paranoid. And cryogenics were the hot potato of the day. Money. By this point, Disney had been involved in over 80 films, developed his theme parks, won numerous awards. He still has the most Academy Award wins. It's 22.
22.
And he'd made billions from a sprawling empire that had only just begun its reign. It's hard to imagine how much money that guy has. There would have been few people in the entertainment industry at the time who were as wealthy and influential as Disney. Simply put, no matter what the price, he would have been able to afford it. So, yeah, Uncle Walt could buy you. He could buy you.
Straight up.
Yep, Robert Redford style.
How much?
20 minutes.
How much for the night?
Future technology stuff. So Disney was captivated by what the future would hold for himself, his company, animation, filmmaking, his parks, and the world in general. Epcot Center was originally called Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, and it was made to predict the
That's so
future.
catchy.
It is, right? Epcot? Yeah, but Community of Tomorrow. That sounds really nice. And it was meant to be, so he was like, innovation, international culture, and it's going to be a permanent fixture, just like the World's Fair, except we have it in one place. And many have said that Disney wasn't trying to create a tribute to anything, like it wasn't supposed to be a place for people to visit, but he actually wanted like a town where people could come and live and work and have kids and do all that kind of stuff.
Be the future.
Be the future. Did you guys see Tomorrowland?
No, I did
have.
not see Tomorrowland.
Yeah. So it's like George Clooney. It's a weird movie. It's a real weird movie. I
I'm
don't
more
know
of a
who-
National Treasure guy.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about that. You and your national treasure. Did you see Tomorrowland though?
I did, yeah.
So it's kind of based on.
I vaguely remember it. But the only thing I really remember strongly is thinking we don't envision future like this kind of stuff anymore.
No, it's like it would be like a retro version of the future that someone a long time ago would have imagined.
Retrofuturism.
Yeah.
That's a
And-
thing.
But we
yeah.
don't envision the future as whimsical anymore.
Not these days. No.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah.
I
just
remember
think
it
of-
being very whimsical. Yeah, well, George Clooney's in it.
Yeah. I'll watch that guy all day.
And into the evening.
How much, George? I have $100. Paranoid. So one aspect that tainted Disney's reputation during his lifetime was his well-known meticulous nature and very guarded and secretive nature. So his smiling demeanor for advertisements or roles in movies was a sharp contrast to the ruthless businessman and demanding directors. So there was all these stories, even when he was alive, about how, like, oh, Uncle Walt's so nice. And then in the studio, he was like, you sit down and you do it, or I'm going to...
Oh, big Uncle D.
Yeah, Uncle D.
I believe that's called good work ethic.
He was apparently, like, really intense, like hours and hours and hours, and no pay.
For break, you work harder.
So from that, there was also a bunch of stories about how he did do this. This is a fact. He did a bunch of government propaganda work during the Second World War, and he did a bunch of communist scare videos during the 1950s. And he apparently was increasingly paranoid and obsessed with death, as evidenced by his movies, where moms and dads always die and leave their kids behind. It's really reassuring as a parent. You're like, oh, good, the hunter's going to shoot me while I'm running away, and my kids will be left on their own to hang out with rabbits.
Me.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I think 101 Dalmatians is like the only Disney movie where all the parents make it out the end alive. Like, yeah. And even then, it's still pretty terrifying that the lady's like, she's funny, but her clothes are made out of puppies, and
She wears the skin to keep her warm.
Cryogenics were the hot potato of the time. In 1964, a book called The Prospect of Immortality by Robert Ettinger, I think that's how you say it, was published. And the concept of cryogenics, your body being frozen with the presumption that you will be thawed at a later date, was a very hot topic. So Disney had thawed a lot about this and wanted... Hey, thank you. The Cryogenic Society was based in California, and their president, a man named Bob Nelson, told the LA Times that he had met with Walt Disney to discuss the freezing process. In the interview, Nelson claimed that ultimately the two hadn't been able to come to an agreement due to the short amount of time between Disney's cancer diagnosis and death. I didn't know this, but I guess he got diagnosed like early in November, and then not even 3 weeks later.
Oof, that's quick.
That's quick. Yeah, that's real quick. That's how cancer works sometimes. No fun. And sometimes it's fun when it goes away. That's fun. But anyways, yeah. So according to his supporters, during initial operations in November of 1966, this is what I was talking about. One of Disney's lungs was removed and apparently kept in storage. And he was like, you hold on to that. And that happened. And people were like, why do you want to? And he's like, you just hold on to it. I want it still. It's still mine.
Keep it.
Yeah. And so he was cremated 2 days after he passed away, which is very fast, and apparently didn't have a funeral, which is very odd. And the public wasn't aware that he was sick. So they were like,
where'd he go?
Oh, Walt Disney's
Where's
dead,
Walt?
and there's no body, and there was no funeral. Just don't worry about it.
Just go see the movies.
We're fine. And Dumbo came
Nothing
out
to see here.
like a month later.
Go to the park. It's
Yeah,
fun.
go see the
Go
flying
see some new
elephants.
pirates.
These connections all would play into the notion that Disney had himself frozen just before dying, and the process was hastily put together under the cover story of cremation and following his will's instructions of not having a funeral. So apparently he was like, I don't want to have a funeral. I just want my friends and family to remember me as I was. Bonus, in a fun twist of events, a new generation of supporters have claimed that the 2013 film, Charlie's favorite movie, Frozen, was part of this theory.
Wait, that and National Treasure can both be my
those two.
favorite film.
This stems from the fact that this theory has been so persistent over the years, and the Disney company was trying to deflect attention away from it. So by releasing a movie called Frozen, they would be able to skew Google searches for Disney and Frozen. So if you Google, you're like, Disney, Frozen, first thing that shows up isn't like an old guy Frozen. They're like, oh, it's the thing with Olaf and Hans.
That's great.
Yeah, and actually that has Charlie's favorite song as well.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to do some blow, man?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more partial to Let's Build a Snowman from the musical Cannibal.
I haven't seen Cannibal. I've heard it's good.
Oh, man, you're missing out.
You know what Disney movie is really good, and I feel like a lot of people miss, is Tangled. Have you two seen Tangled?
I have.
Tangled is excellent, and I think it's better than Frozen myself.
I've not seen Frozen, though.
That's Uncle Andy, connoisseur of fine Disney.
Yep, that's Disney Corner. And actually, speaking of movies, in 2018, a comedy entitled, and you guys may have seen this online, The Further Adventures of Walt's Frozen Head was released, and it's hilarious. We'll put up a link on the Facebook page. That's a real movie. So it's this guy, and it's like the Futurama concept where They can't have Disney in the name, but it's it's Walt Disney's head in a jar, and the guy just like
Goes
takes it
and
out.
does-
Yeah, and look at
is?
the font on this and everything. Like it's totally
Is this the whole movie on YouTube?
yeah. If your heart is your dream, no request too extreme. When you wish upon a star, like dreamers do. What?
That doesn't rhyme.
A Pinocchio.
Hey, Pinocchio.
Where's my spaghetti?
Spaghetti. Crazy. Yeah, the whole movie right there. Full
Yep.
feature film.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Has there ever been anybody publicly cryogenically frozen? Like, is there
Apparently-
legitimately someone that has been?
The only examples of it ever actually happening. So people have been frozen. Like the guy that it was either Bob Nelson or Robert Ettinger had their bodies frozen, but no one's ever been successfully frozen in a lab and like reanimated later. But there have been people who like fell through the ice. Came back to life after.
Legitimately
long?
came back to life?
Like they were thought out and it happened.
They were like totally Captain America.
yeah.
Like
or there
Encino
was.
Man.
I think it's a very short window. So yeah, that's a good question. I should stick that in.
Yeah, geez, do your work.
So yeah, Charlie, what?
That's that, huh?
That is was Walt Disney cryogenically frozen. And Frozen 2 comes out in like 2 weeks, so you must be very
Frozen
excited.
2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. That joke gets better every time. Yeah. Charlie, what are we?
What are we drinking?
Here.
Andrew, what we're drinking? We are drinking Blind Man Brewing's Kettle Sour number 12. Soured in the kettle with lactobacillus, fermented with brewer's yeast. Double dry hopped with cryo, which is cryogenetically concentrated lupulin, citra, and euconaut. Enjoy. Which I'm glad you corrected me earlier, otherwise I would have called it citra and euconaut enjoy.
Yeah, that's it.
There's
Is
some punctuation.
phrased
It's
very
very
oddly.
important.
Citra and euconaut semicolon enjoy.
Enjoy.
I don't know if I've ever had euconaut before.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, brewer's yeast.
Brewers.
I
sounds-
try to
yeah.
avoid yeast.
Yeah.
Kaylee, are you a fan of sour beers?
I'm not a fan of beers.
You're not a fan of the bee.
You won't touch the stuff.
Okay.
Yes, and people are very off put by what I think it tastes like.
Oh.
They have too many questions for me.
Okay, no problem. That's fine.
This episode of It's a Conspiracy is brought to you by TELUS World of Science Edmonton, home of the Canadian debut of Marvel Universe of Superheroes.
Charlie, what's the first comic book you ever bought?
X-Men.
What's your favorite X-Men?
X-Men.
Do you like X-Force?
X-Force is okay.
Excalibur?
Excalibur's all right. They got Nightcrawler in there.
X-Factor?
X-Factor was less good. Oh, the original X-Factor was all right, I guess.
Did you like the original opening of the 1990s animated X-Men with like the claws?
Bum, 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 bum,
Oh.
bum, bum. Diddle-dee-dee-dee.
Man.
Yeah.
Every time I do something at home for my kids, like I better go fire up the barbecue.
Dun, 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 That's your at-home theme music.
Oh, so good. That's the song they should have used. Killer. So good. Kaylee, do you like comics?
Yes.
Yeah? What's your favorite?
Jubilee.
You like Jubilee?
Yeah, from X-Men. She was honestly, like, when I was younger, I wanted to become a gymnast because of her.
Oh.
And throw fireworks at people.
Yeah. She's super powerful. Like, she explodes atoms.
She is cool. Actually, that's one of the things I always liked about the X-Men was that they had a lot of ladies in there.
Yeah.
'Cause
There
they
was a
also
lot
had-
of diversity.
There was, yeah.
X-Men is all about diversity.
It was
Yeah.
great.
I really liked Spider-Man when I was a kid. I loved him so much, and I still really do like
Whipping all over the place.
I think I like 5 of the 7 or 8 Spider-Man movies. So, yeah, if that's a good ratio though.
Tell us about the exhibition, Andrew.
The exhibition runs until February 17th, 2020, and Edmonton is the first and so far only Canadian city to host it.
Number one.
If you're a fan of comic books and you like all of the influence of comic books and culture and the movies and everything like that, you can see where they came from, you see where they're going. You get to listen to the music from the movies. You get to see the hand-drawn images of people like Spider-Man, Black Panther, Captain America.
Experience a thrilling soundscape by composers Lorne Balfe and Hans Zimmer.
I'm going to go in there in this, like, thrilling soundscape and find something that's going to become my new theme song. So that when I walk into a room, it just starts going.
Oh, so good.
2019 is the 80th anniversary of Marvel.
That's amazing.
80 years.
80 years.
And here's to another 80.
Buy your tickets today at TELUS World of Science, edmonton.ca.
That's TELUS World of Science Edmonton.ca. Excelsior.
Okay, and we're back, and here's Charlie Scream's Monster of the Week.
Oh, I mean, first of all, I just want to address that our good pal Greg cannot be here because he's currently on a press tour for his new book, Greg's Mandela Minute.
Mandela Minute.
It's taking him all over the world.
Oh, for sure.
He's flying high right now.
He's in Bethlehem this week.
Yep.
Korea next week.
Yep.
And then
I think Seattle.
Yeah. Sweet.
So I'm going to have to try to fill his shoes. So I came up with a new segment, Charlie Scream's Monster of the Week. Now, I wanted to put some balance in here because, as you may or may not know,
We know.
I'm a big fan of the X-Files.
Okay.
Now, in the X-Files, they had two kinds of episodes. They had ones that were the regular conspiracy, overarching, big, super long plots that happened.
Lots of bees.
And then they had all the little separate ones that were called Monster of the Week episodes, where each week they would go and they usually deal with some type of supernatural, paranormal creature, sometimes a simple criminal with a unique gift, and it was always different from the big overarching story, so you don't get burnt out. Because I think at the time they're doing, 20...
They did a lot.
24 episodes a season or something like that?
They did like 58 seasons.
Yeah, 58, 9, somewhere, some number in between there. So I figured shine a little spotlight on the Monster of the Week. First, obviously, the first name that just jumps on to in everybody's mind when they think Monster of the Week, they think of Jake the Alligator Man. You're laughing because of how obvious of a choice it is, right?
It is a very obvious choice. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Let me tell you about Jake, if you don't know. Jake the Alligator Man is half man, half alligator, who is on mummified display at the Marsh's Free Museum in Long Beach, Washington. He was acquired by Marsh's for $750 in 1967 from some mysterious antique store. Jake's popularity rose in 1993 when his image was used on the cover of Weekly World News. The headline read, "Half alligator, half human found in Florida swamp. Scientists call 5'8" creature the missing link." The article alleged that he had escaped from captivity, killed a Miami man, which is pretty similar to a Florida man, and gave birth. Since then, Jake has comfortably enjoyed a cult following in Northwestern pop culture. He annually celebrates his 75th birthday every August on Long Beach with such events as a bachelor party, car show, bridal contest, burlesque, and live music.
Nice.
Bumper stickers featuring Jake are commonly seen through Washington and Oregon. Interestingly, I did a little digging, and although his Twitter account is not verified, I found a tweet from as recent as January 1st, 2018 that reads, "Had 17 carp for dinner, still hungry." That's our hats off to Jake the Alligator Man.
Aww.
We were supposed to go do a road trip to see him for his bachelor party birthday one year.
We still hope to
I
do
thought you
that.
guys did see him.
We were supposed
we did
to.
not. We never made it out that far.
You'll see the alligator later.
See the alligator later. If anybody's out there, man, I sure would love one of those bumper stickers. Boy, howdy.
You know, I love books, and I would like to join a book club, but it seems like such a big commitment.
Why is that?
Reading a whole book in a month, that takes a lot of time.
Well, what if it was only one chapter, say, a week?
Organizing to meet up with people is a lot of work.
Well, what if it was only half an hour, whenever it worked for you?
That would be great.
The read-along. It's a mini book club for your ears.
Join my wife Anita
And my husband Scott.
on a weekly journey through a good book,
One chapter at a time.
Part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB.
And subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever fine podcasts can be found.
Subject number 2, something about a skier. 2018. What a year. What a majestic time in our lives. Venezuelan Revolution, Thai Boys in the Cave story, Incredibles 2, Drake and Ed Sheeran, and did you guys go on your honeymoon in 2018?
We went on our honeymoon in
We went
2018.
to Hawaii in
Yes.
2018.
Okay, so whatever, something about Drake and Ed Sheeran, and you guys went on a honeymoon.
Ooh,
Yeah.
good
Nice.
year.
Broke my toe on that honeymoon.
Oh.
Memories.
Was that kind of honeymoon, was it? Wow, 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 breaking my
come
toe.
on. Just like anybody does when they're drinking Windex.
It's not even a lie.
Yeah, that's...
Let me tell you, we know how to have a good time. Let's just say that. Drinking Windex at a luau, nothing like it.
It's
It happened simultaneously.
All together.
Legitimately did.
that was it, just a big chug.
Just like that.
And then next thing you know, pants off.
Oh, my pants were already off. I was wearing a dress.
Yeah.
Oh,
Obviously.
well, we're just going to skip ahead here. They just told me this horrible sex story. So on February 7th, 2018, a man from Toronto, and I'm convinced this is a fake name, a man from Toronto named Konstantinos Danny Philippides was on a ski trip. His name is Philippides. Philippides.
What,
Philippides, mamas.
What was this gentleman's occupation?
He's a firefighter. Philippides, the firefighter. Yeah, might be the kind of firefighter that shows up and takes his clothes off, though, right?
I was really hoping that he was going to be a used car salesman. Philippides cars.
Philippides cars. So, anyways, Philippides was on a ski trip with some friends in Lake Placid, New York. The ski pals had decided to go on a fun ski weekend romp, and were all experienced skis people.
Real fun skis.
Just looking for some healthy kicks. Hey, let's do something exhausting over the weekend so that we can go to work tired on Monday morning. Like the thought of just... After a full day of skiing, around 6 p.m., Philippides' friends were going to head back to the chalet.
Wait, now hold on. His last name is Philippides?
Philippides.
So it's Mr. Philippides.
Mr. Philippides, yeah. And Philippides said he was going to do 2 or 3 more runs and would catch up with them right away. And so they all went back to the chalet, and he's like, I'm going to stay here, do a couple more runs. And that was the last they ever saw of him.
Bum, bum, bum.
After a few hours, the friends grew a little concerned and went back out to the slopes to see if they could find him. Oddly, just by the lifts, they found his skis and his boots, and then back in his room, his clothes and identification and his honeymoon bottle of Windex were all still there, and his passport was still there. So everything was still there, and they were like, this guy's just totally disappeared. Bit of a panic set in. It was getting nighttime. I was on a ski hill. So a massive search was immediately launched. Professional searchers, volunteers, dogs, and even drones, amazing, were deployed. The thinking was that Philippides may have somehow fallen off of the lift and into the woods on either side of the slopes, been knocked unconscious, or maybe worse. And with the temperatures plummeting, the operation knew that the chances of survival in the case of an accident were very slim. So they were trying to find him. Hundreds of people were questioned, video was reviewed, and it appeared as though Philippides had simply disappeared without a trace. Then, 6 days later, out of the blue, Philippides' wife, Molly Philippides, or, whatever, Magdalena Philippides, received a phone call from a very confused sounding individual who was identifying himself only by his pet name that the two had used. So, yeah. Odder still was the fact that the phone call was coming from Sacramento, California, 2,500 miles away. Woo! So Philippides' wife got the man to stay on the line and had the phone traced to a location by the Sacramento airport.
Hold on, though. How did she do that?
She'd been in contact with the police.
Oh, okay.
And apparently he was really cooperative. He was like, I'm not sure where I am. Just go ahead
know where I am.
Trace the call. He was like, go ahead and trace the call. I'll just hang out here until someone comes pick me up. So he was out by the Sacramento airport. The police in the area were notified, and the man said he was really like friendly and cooperative. He's like, I'll just wait here until somebody comes to pick me up.
Please, just get me out of here.
And he didn't say his name the whole time. He only referred to him. Yeah, he said his name. He only referred to himself by the pet name.
What was his pet name?
It doesn't say.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Philippides isn't pet enough.
That's so. When the police approached Philippides, they assumed that he'd been drugged or was possibly being held hostage, or worse. After securing the area and establishing that he was on his own, they were able to speak with him. And Philippides, who was still in his ski gear, identified himself. He's like, I'm whatever, Konstantinos Danny Philippides. And he insisted that he was just confused. I'm confused. And, yeah.
Direct quote.
He's like, yeah. And so
I'm Philippides.
I'm
confused.
And an officer on the scene was quoted saying, on our end, it left a lot of unanswered questions. It was apparent there was a lot of issues going on with the gentleman. Very disoriented, obviously needing some medical assistance.
How'd I get here?
He claimed to only remember being at the ski hill and then suddenly being in a big truck, no idea who was driving, and then being, quote, dropped off, quote, in Sacramento with an urge to get a haircut, get a phone, and call his wife. So he didn't know how long he'd been in Sacramento, but he thought it was at least that day. So it was a couple hours. He'd had enough time to get the phone and stop by the barber, and he had a haircut.
He stopped by the barber.
He did. He got a haircut.
First things first.
Thing. Yeah.
I can't look. Can't go on looking like this.
It's like the monorail thing. He's like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have stopped to get that haircut. But like, it's so bizarre. So he apparently got a haircut. Philippides was taken to the hospital to be checked out, and the authorities tried to figure out what happened. The investigators returned to the footage at the ski hill to see if they could find a, quote, big truck, quote, in the parking lot, and came up empty-handed. A record check proved his ID and payment information hadn't been used at any point. They also checked a number of video surveillance cameras along the main highways from New York State to California. Facial recognition software was used on thousands of hours of offered footage from way stations, gas stations, convenience stores, highway cameras, etc. And nothing surfaced. Police in both states launched a massive television and social media campaign to see if they could locate the driver of the truck, and a substantial reward was put forward that was never claimed for like the driver of the truck. In the days between vanishing and appearing, no one saw Philippides on the major highways, and there was apparently no way to trace the vehicle that had been used to transport him as he'd claimed. So Philippides disappeared just before 6 p.m. on the one day, and then resurfaced 6 days later, where he's like, I've been here for a few hours, I don't know. And then, so if you take out that, the first day and the last day, you have 4 days, which means he traveled approximately 625 miles. I don't know how long a mile is. So it's over 1,000 kilometers, I guess. Not a mile. So 625 miles is over 1,000 kilometers.
That means the U.S. is huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, it's across the country. So he traveled 625 miles per day for 4 days with no record. So that's over 1,000 kilometers per day for 4 days. And then finally, the police, they dropped the case as a cold file. It was very unusual for a missing persons case to be dealt with in this fashion because the person had been found. They'd had a medical check. He was fine. He's like, I don't want to press charges. I just want to know who this truck driver is. I'm like, yeah, I got on my organs still. There essentially had been no crime or anything to speak of, so everything was called off. Philippides was in a bizarre state of confusion for a few days, but eventually returned to normal. He never regained the memory of the missing few days, but he was like, oh, I was in a truck and then I was in California. So as you can bloody well imagine, a number of bizarre theories have been suggested in this. One idea that has received a great amount of support was that Philippides was teleported across the country and the truck memory was just the way his brain had filled in the gaps.
Naturally.
Yeah, this is a common trait of people who have reported spontaneous teleportation. They're like, the weirdest thing, I was in a donut shop. And then the other main theory was that he was actually abducted by aliens, and the truck he remembers was the inside of the spacecraft.
Looks just like a Ford.
Just like a big truck. And the aliens had implanted him to cover up this memory. That cracks me up. Like the inside of a spacecraft, there's like a naked lady calendar.
Some hay bales.
So yeah. So
what is this thing, a diesel?
Yeah. There's like Roger Miller playing in the background. So anyways, yeah, he's like, I don't know, man. I just remember a truck and I woke up in California. Philippides went back to his job flipping donuts as a firefighter in Toronto. Donuts. And apparently he continues to work there to this day. I'm positive that's got to be a fake name, Philippides. Because once this story came out, he'd probably have to change his name too. Yeah, and that's the story of firefighter Philippides.
Firefighter Philippides.
I guess that takes us to opinion time. Do you want to sing the opinion time song?
I don't know how. Would it be bad to admit I don't actually listen to you guys?
It's fine.
Andrew's going into his bag of tricks.
Family and friends that are like, oh, what's your podcast about? And I explain, and they're like, oh, that sounds nice.
I only listen if it's relevant to me.
Yeah. But then people are like, oh, it sounds you guys are having a good time. We're like, it's okay. We're not crazy. We're not crazy.
We're not crazy. Institutionalized.
So, okay, we're in opinion time here. So first off, this episode comes out on November 14th. And tomorrow, today's the 10th. We're recording on the 10th. Tomorrow's Remembrance Day. And we here at It's a Conspiracy like to honor and celebrate our veterans. Thank you for your service. In the spirit of that, I thought we'd briefly bring back one of our favorite segments, the Poppy Quiz.
What?
Okay, so the rules are quite simple. There are 3 questions. If you get all 5 right, then you get a spoonful of poppy seeds.
What the hell, man?
Sorry, if you get all 3 right, you get a spoonful of poppy seeds. If you get 3 wrong, then you get a spoonful of poppy seeds.
Wait.
This doesn't seem right.
That seems.
See, I don't make the rules. Like this.
Yes,
is
you do.
I'm pretty sure you do.
Exactly. You make 100% of the rules.
Okay. So I'll keep
If you
track
get
here.
3 right, you have to eat poppy seeds.
No
you get
way, Jose.
if you get, I'll tell you what. It's out of 3. So best out of 3.
You remember what happened last time?
I do remember what I'm kind of hoping for a repeat here. There you go. Charlie's got his spoonful of
I don't want to do
seeds.
this.
No, it's okay. I've only got 2, and I didn't want to put you on the hot spot.
This is terrible.
Greg's on his Korean
wonder.
press tour.
Correct. This is terrible.
That's why Greg's not here.
Yeah,
So-
no kidding. He knew.
Well,
You told him.
I'll keep you score till the end. I'll ask you your questions. So there's 2 true or false, and then there's 1 multiple choice. And you guys can work together if you want, but it has to be a consensus of 1 answer, and you
Like to
both have
phone
to
a
have
friend?
the seeds. Okay, now true or false, and I won't tell you if you're right until the end. So in the poem "In Flanders Fields" was written by a Canadian,
What's the name?
John McCrae. So
Is that for real or did you just make that
no,
up?
that's the real name.
Okay,
Yeah,
it
"In
looked
Flanders
like you
Fields"
named-
was written by a Canadian. True or false? None of this looking up. None of your.
I'm not typing.
No googling.
I'm making sure we're still recording.
Oh, good.
I feel like it's true.
I think it's true.
Because they made a real big deal about that poem
Yeah, big deal.
in elementary
Big
school.
deal.
Big deal.
Okay, big deal.
Big
Real
deal.
big deal.
Real big deal.
True or false? World War I ran from 1914 to 1919.
I don't know.
That sounds...
You think you're good with that? How do you feel?
I don't know. I remember one of them was a lot shorter than they made it out to be, but I don't remember which
Real long
one.
short war. Right.
Yeah, the real long short war.
So 1914 to 1919.
What do you think?
I don't know. I have to answer?
What's your gut?
I'm going to say it's accurate.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna go with another true.
I
Okay.
think so.
Multiple choice. The Canadian Armed Forces was one of the first military operations to get women serving in all occupations. By 2026, the Canadian Armed Forces have a mandate to have a minimum female to male ratio. This is what they're hoping for. So is it 1 in 10, 1 in 20, or 1 in 4? They're aiming for the ratio of women to men would be 1 in 10, 1 in 20, or 1 in 4.
What is it currently?
I don't know what it is currently.
I'm going to guess it's 1 in 10.
What do you think? 1 in 10.
So 1 in 10.
1 in 4 is too close, right?
Yeah, that's way too close. And
If they were gonna go for like, let's shoot for the moon, they would have just say, shit, let's just go 1 in 1.
There's a lot of women in the military too.
but I'm going to say that 1 in 20 is
Too little.
it feels too sexist of an answer, and 1 in 10 it feels better in my gut.
Okay.
In your guts.
Let's
In
do
my
it.
guts.
1 in 10.
Okay, so number 1, true or false? In Flanders Fields was written by a Canadian.
Nailed
So-
it.
Yep.
True.
So Andrew
Good.
has to eat the poppy seeds.
Wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
We were right? Ew.
Isn't that this game?
Oh.
For everyone I get right, we don't, and you do.
Number 2, World War I ran from 1914 to 1918. So you eat those poppy seeds.
I knew it was short. Oh, Charlie, your face.
This is the stupidest segment. I don't understand. These are the same seeds
This
from last
is
year.
your
too.
fault.
No, I don't make the rules. This is what we're supposed to. Okay, number 3. The Canadian Armed Forces was trying to get a ratio. The ratio they're aiming for is actually 1 in 4.
God damn it.
But there, out of solidarity with our sisters, I'll take one with you as well. Here we go.
You guys take one.
I'm not
I'm
doing
still working on the
this.
first one.
This is
Yeah.
it, my podcast. I'm a
Good.
guest. You
We had her
treat
lie
your
down.
guests nicely,
That's
please.
right. And that's the poppy quiz. Okay, cheers.
Listen, if I ever get a podcast and you guys are on it, I won't make you do stupid shit.
You'll never eat poppy cake again. It'll be a day of mourning.
I can't get. It's not going down.
Oh, here we go.
Drink some beer.
I think that was a mistake last time. It got all bubbly.
Oh.
No. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Don't
Will lightning strike twice?
Okay.
don't do it.
My throat's like, no.
You do it and then I'll do it. I'm not looking at you now.
Okay, now I do, from our friends at Chatsier in Beaumont, I have a Saskatoon butter tart. And look at them apples. Nothing weird, I promise.
See, and I don't believe you.
No, I promise. They're so good. And they're, this won't be as tasty as the poppy seeds, but nice little Saskatoon butter tart. Thanks, courtesy of the people at Chatsier. Look at that. Homemade, just
Yeah, you know it's going to taste tainted like garbage now because you made me eat that junk.
It's going to be all tasting weird.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Babe, I believe you have some poppy on your nose.
Yeah, I do. Just like to get right in there.
My goodness. That, yeah.
I know you
all
just
right.
scarfed yours down, but I'm still scared.
I promise
No,
there's
these
nothing
are going
right
to be
now.
good. This is going to
I wouldn't.
this is
These
good.
guys, I'm like the guinea pigs, but I wouldn't do that to someone that,
This
yeah.
is good.
That's pretty good.
Why don't you bring this all the time?
So, I guess we'll start with Kaylee here. What do you think about Walt Disney's frozen corpse being stuffed under the scary castle at Disneyland for the kids?
I wouldn't put it past him.
You think it's a possibility?
I think it's a possibility. I mean, Walt Disney.
He was super wealthy,
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Eccentric.
Yeah, very eccentric. I mean, even if he did get frozen and stuffed underneath something, I mean, I'm sure he's just rotting and decaying there if he's not actually going to be regenerated someday.
Yeah. How weird would it be if they were like, by the way, Walt Disney's come back to life,
Yeah.
and here's Snow White 2. Cruise control.
Electric Boogaloo.
I mean, it would make sense if he was diagnosed and then 3 weeks later he's gone. So as soon as he gets diagnosed with cancer, the thought process in his head might be like, oh shit, I better get on this, get myself frozen before it develops too far. And
Yep.
that way, when I do get revived, they'll have the best chance of curing me. Mm-hmm. So that part would make sense.
And some of these guys get frozen for like the idea being like there's that Tom Cruise movie where he's frozen.
Top Gun. Yeah.
Top Gun. And
Like-
they bring him back to life in the future.
Encino Man, it worked in that.
Yeah, it sure did.
Futurama
Yeah.
documentary.
Yeah, if we know something, it's that Matt Groening is a time traveler, so he knows.
Do you guys think that the Disney company would have been like, let's make a movie about a princess with ice powers, call it Frozen, so people stop pestering us about this silly frozen head thing?
It's funny because I
It is funny.
it's hilarious because I'm inclined to think that maybe he's frozen under the thing, but I think that them naming it Frozen just happens to be very coincidental. Be like, no, he's probably frozen underneath Disney, or in the castle, or maybe the Hall of Presidents if that's still a thing. I don't even know,
I have
but
no idea. I've never been there.
but
People do like to make stuff up.
yeah, sure, but I don't remember my second part of the point.
It certainly didn't cull the rumors in any way.
No.
Like people are still like looking this up all the time, as this movie proves. I know.
I mean, what comes up when you Google Walt Disney Frozen?
Let's take a look. Activate the Googles.
How far down do you have to go? It just came up with his head.
Oh,
It autofilled to frozen head.
The first one was
So,
an
yeah.
article from Snopes. Okay, Walt Disney Frozen.
How far down do you have to
Is
go?
Walt Disney's body frozen?
That was the first
They
thing. That's
didn't- They
crazy.
didn't try hard enough.
Yeah. So I don't buy that part of it either. If he was frozen, I don't think he was. Like I think he was one of these guys. Very sadly, and he was only 60 something. Like not super young, but
So young.
yeah, but like young enough that you're like, oh man, like he could have had another long
5
productive
years.
couple
I
years.
wasn't ready to retire.
Yeah, but in terms of having the money and maybe the personality, but he's one of these guys. He's kind of like a Howard Hughes. Like the more you learn about him, the more interesting the whole backstory is. One of the things I found out, there's a lot of rumors about him being
Pretty in
very
pink.
anti-Semitic,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
and he had a bunch of people who were like openly Jewish on his staff, and he was involved with like government propaganda and the 50s scare, but he definitely knew that a bunch of his animators were like, at the very least, from like Jewish families, and he was like, these guys are. Well, he was really hard on all of his workers.
Yep.
But he was also like, he stuck with a lot of those guys through the whole thing. Totally. Apparently, that bugged him a lot when he was alive, and he was like, I don't know where it came from. So hopefully,
Stop saying those things.
Hopefully that part isn't true.
It's like when we have these podcasts and Andrew comes on and likes to say how racist I am, even though I'm not.
Not racist. No. There could be creepy stuff stored at Disney.
I'm sure there's all sorts. Yeah. That place is huge. But did you know there's secret rooms in that castle that you can stay at?
Oh, there's a secret nightclub in there.
It's crazy. So there's also a secret freezatorium.
I remember reading one thing about a guy that was like one of the Disney princesses or something like that, saw someone choking, administered like the Heimlich maneuver or whatever, and was charged later on because it broke the illusion.
Broke character.
Of but it, like this
Wait,
person,
the guy was charged, or the Disney princess that was choking?
The princess wasn't choking. The princess saw the person choking.
Oh.
And
So
like,
what? They're saying that Disney princesses can't save people?
No. They're saying that because they broke character.
to be all
Character.
like, oh, hold on.
And everyone's like, oh no. Yeah, that's not Bella, because she's like, just a second, I'm a CPR. Who? Oh, I just saved your
I
life.
was trained at Princess Academy.
Yeah, and you explain that to kids.
Oh boy.
I learned that from...
Look, princesses have a lot of free time on their hands, all right.
Absolutely. Yeah, and as if those Snow White's hanging out with those dwarves, they're going to be choking on things all the time. Scarfing down hot wings and all that stuff. Oh, Chokey, wasn't he one of them?
Ooh, Chokey, yeah, that's right.
He died.
Did he die?
I'm sure he choked on something.
There's another theory, actually, to touch on that. There's a theory that there's actually 6 dwarves, and that Dopey is actually a little boy who grew up to be someone else in the Disney universe. And he's not one of the, because he's not like an old man. He's like a young kid who just hangs out with these.
That's true.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah, totally.
That kid had bad influences. Where's his damn parents?
Okay, so do you guys think that Philippides teleported to California?
Did he? He did not teleport to California.
No, he did.
You tell me that story and tell me it doesn't sound like a guy. Now, see, here's the thing I want to ask beforehand. Did Mr. Philippides have a good relationship with his wife?
I'm not qualified to speak on that subject.
Okay, because
I did have the same thought though.
Yeah.
because
me too.
it could be that he goes on some skiing trip with the boys and starts a rager that takes him all the way across the country, and he quote, I don't know, I can't remember the last 4 days.
Yeah.
Meet a lady in the hot tub and be like, let's go somewhere warmer.
But like it's so far away. You know? And then she might have like
Maybe that's where she lived.
yeah.
Or maybe she just took him for the ride.
She could have. She was like, I'm the princess
Up
of
in this
Belgium.
red Corvette.
Yeah.
I'm
let's
a
go.
Disney princess. Let's hop in my private
I'll give
jet.
you the Heimlich all night.
I had the same reaction. I was thinking of there's that scene in Breaking Bad where he's like he takes his clothes off and he's like he has to make himself look like he's had a mental breakdown in order to like recover the story.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, kind of yeah. So I don't know.
So
But maybe-
that's...
I do like the idea of like a spacecraft being like just like a
You're coming with us.
a truck from the 70s.
Yeah.
We're going to take this convoy. You know, that's pretty cool. Yeah. What's your feeling on that?
I mean, I would think the same kind of thing is maybe he met some girl
Went on a wicked
or
bender. Or
Or some guy.
yeah, or some guy or
Or took himself.
there's a third option.
Yep.
Good drugs.
yeah, that's true.
Just, hey man, here's a couple of tabs of something, and wake up where you wake up.
Yeah.
So then truly he would not remember.
Yeah.
No, and it is odd that
He came to and he's like, what?
yeah.
Why am I on a beach?
And he
In
was
my ski clothes.
He's in his ski clothes. That's the part that I like. If he was teleported, that's a hard, because it could be like, oh, I touched this rock and it transported me to California. You know, yeah. There's
But why the haircut?
the haircut's odd. The haircut's real odd.
Unless you're trying to impress a lady.
Right?
Yeah. And that's how you impress a lady. You get
Get a
your hairs
haircut.
cut. Yeah.
Damn it.
Maybe not. Maybe drugs.
That seems-
maybe love. Love and drugs.
Could be both.
I don't know if it was love. He did go back to his wife.
I think so. It doesn't say. I mean, they were married when they were on the phone, but maybe
Yeah.
maybe the real epilogue of the story is,
If
and they got divorced a week
That's
later.
another thing too. Okay, now you were talking about how he calls her and he says, baby, I don't know what was wrong, man. I'm in California. I don't know how I got here. And she says, Hold on. I'm gonna find out where you are. And then, are there police officers in her house that they have a wiretap or whatever that they
were in the middle of a search.
Oh, okay.
And,
so
and
like,
they were all but it wasn't like that because roll the tape would be like a landline kind of thing. But with like iPhones, you could probably.
Oh, where's my iPhone?
I guess just find my phone.
So I don't know exactly, but he called from a different number.
Her computer.
Yeah. So and he hadn't. It was a new phone and
Right. He's just got a burner phone.
yeah, but that's weird too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing is a little strange.
So if I do something like that, it's definitely aliens, though, right?
Yeah.
When I do something
When
like
I
that.
do something like that, it's for sure aliens.
Aliens took me
Teleported.
to Saskatchewan.
I mean, who wouldn't want to like go somewhere frozen and then wake up on a beach,
How sweet would that be?
right? Why call home?
Yeah.
Why worry?
And
Enjoy
that's-
your time.
That's like the nicest alien abduction I've ever heard of. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me get. How good is that tart?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's a sweet tart.
Sweetheart.
It's got a little bit of
A tang.
a fall spice to it.
That's the. I was gonna say that's the pumpkin spice. Just being like, that's the pumpkin spice butter tart.
Here you go, white girl.
Good times. Thank you so much. We had a tender moment together and are richer for all that inspired this afternoon. You can. Oh, here, Kaylee, let's get you to. It's all tiny.
Oh my goodness.
You want to read this?
What am I reading?
Just read it.
You can listen.
The outro credits?
Yeah.
So from the outro credits?
From the outro, my iPad died.
Good times, so much fun and joy. We had tender moments together and are richer for all that transpired this afternoon. You can listen to all of our episodes on itsaconspiracypodcast.com, along with our social medias and links to our Patreon page, patreon.com/itsaconspiracy, and merch at oldmandesign.com.
We'll get you sorted.
So we will be back with our Cluckvember Chicken Surprise, recorded live at Northern Chicken, courtesy of the good people at Northern Chicken at the end of the month.
I read your words.
You did. You wrote it. As
I'm a good reader.
All righty.